Often, we work on many space and research missions to understand the Earth and its history, and we try to find out if there is any other planet or celestial body in our solar system besides Earth, the discovery of which could help us uncover the mystery of life. Is there an unknown planet where the seed of life is growing? A planet we have been searching for in space for so many years? Recently, researchers from the world-renowned Stanford University were discussing this topic, that even though it is far away from the Sun, there might be possibilities of life on Europa, the moon of Jupiter, which is the fifth and largest planet in our solar system. Well, for your information, let me tell you that according to the International Astronomical Union, or IAU, while our Earth has only one moon, on the contrary, Jupiter, also known as Brihaspati, has many times more moons. Altogether, this planet has a total of 95 moons, out of which the four largest moons, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto, are known as the Galilean moons, as discovered by researchers. It is suspected that there is a possibility of the presence of water on one of these moons, Europa. Friends, Europa is also called Jupiter's icy moon, with a diameter slightly less than our moon, about 3,138 kilometers. It is the sixth largest moon in our solar system. Europa was discovered by Galileo Galilei in January 1610. German astronomer Simon Marius had discovered this moon at the time when Galileo was observing Jupiter's moons. That's why he is often also credited with co-discovering the moons. Now, if we talk about Europa, friends, it's just like an icy world where for miles and miles you'll see nothing but ice and its rocky surface. And the conditions here are so dangerous that in just a few minutes the freezing temperature will turn you into an astronaut popsicle. If we talk about human life, we know very well that Earth has an atmosphere, which is a mixture of different gases. This mixture contains about 21% oxygen, and this is the gas that keeps us humans alive when we inhale it. But if we talk about the atmospheric differences between Earth and Jupiter, it is very important for you to know that while Earth has a very thick layer of atmosphere, on the other hand, Jupiter is so far away that its atmosphere is extremely thin, so fragile that your life would be at risk within just a few moments. In the images of Europa's surface, it is clearly visible that deep beneath its icy surface, there are different layers. One special thing is that, unlike our moon where we see large craters, we don't see the same kind of craters on Jupiter's moon. Because of this, scientists believe that there must be something present deep below the surface, which, even after meteor impacts, helps this moon recover from them. But if we talk about the data, according to that, there is a good amount of oxygen on Europa. That means the oxygen humans need to survive is definitely present there. It's possible that life could exist inside the depths of Europa as well. Well, for this information, NASA's scientists are constantly keeping an eye on this moon. So, the answer to why Europa is so interesting for scientists and astronauts is the possibility of liquid water existing beneath the sheet of white ice. By looking at some new pictures, we get more information about the marks and cracks on Europa, which NASA hopes to use. NASA believes that compared to any other body in our solar system outside of Earth, Europa has the highest possibility of microbial life existing. That means there could be some bacteria present even under very high pressure, which have not been discovered yet. If what they say turns out to be true, it will be a new achievement for our science. After all, NASA has also planned to send a mission to land on the icy surface of the moon and drill through the ice shell into its oceans. However, it will still take a long time for this to happen. Friends, if we talk about the deepest point on Earth, it is said to be about 10 to 11 kilometers deep, whereas the depth of Europa's ocean could be as much as 100 kilometers. If we talk about Europa's subsurface, it is believed that due to Jupiter's gravitational pull, the attraction, and Europa's elliptical orbit, certain effects are produced. Because of tidal heating, there is the highest possibility of a subsurface ocean here. Europa's crustal layer is completely covered with icy rocks, but deep down, there is salty water, and some explorers even claim that the amount of water present on Europa is much more than that on our Earth. According to scientists, Europa's frozen layer is 20 to 24 kilometers deep. Beneath this, there could be a deep ocean and many mysterious creatures living in it. In addition, scientists have also discovered natural elements like carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, sulfur, and phosphorus on Europa. This year, NASA is going to launch a mission to Europa with the help of SpaceX Falcon, which is considered one of its most powerful rockets so far. This mission is called Europa Clipper. Apart from this, there are still possibilities of life elsewhere as well, as humanity pushes the boundaries of space exploration. The possibilities of establishing a colony on Titan are also becoming increasingly interesting. So, will there be a day It's the second largest moon. It is surrounded by a dense atmosphere made mainly of nitrogen with traces of methane and hydrocarbons, a unique combination of organic compounds and liquid. There is a possibility of finding life, whereas due to Titan's cold temperatures and lack of liquid water on its surface, traditional life is not possible there. However, scientists believe that microbial life could definitely exist in the moon's subsurface oceans. And if this is confirmed, this discovery will have a profound impact on our understanding of the origin and prevalence of life in the universe. Titan's atmosphere is dense, which is mainly composed of methane and it is the only celestial body where stable liquid bodies have been found on its surface. However, these are not water bodies but rather lakes and rivers of liquid methane and ethane. Titan is of great interest to scientists. Everything we know about Titan comes from the Cassini-Huygens mission. Cassini is a NASA spacecraft that studied Saturn and its moons. A probe carried by Cassini called Huygens in 2005. Which are called magic islands, and they are known for appearing and disappearing. From this, scientists inferred that these occur due to changes in liquid levels, waves, or bubbles. Let me tell you that Titan's surface is extremely cold, where the temperature drops to about minus 290 degrees Fahrenheit, that is, minus 289 degrees Celsius. It has an extremely cold, dense atmosphere. Because of this, Titan appears hazy. Titan is considered a prebiotic environment, which means it has the necessary conditions for the formation of prebiotic molecules, but it lacks liquid water. Titan's surface is such a mystery that it has forced scientists to think deeply. There are rivers here, but without deltas. The abundance of molecules and an active methane cycle, but still, there are no clear signs of life here. All this makes Titan the most mysterious body in our solar system. Is life possible on Titan? Or is it just a world where chemical processes are still not sufficient to start life? Despite such harsh conditions, some recent discoveries have astonished scientists. These discoveries suggest that the ingredients necessary for life exist on Pluto, but they are buried beneath Pluto's frozen surface. To understand the possibility of life on Pluto, we first need to understand the conditions present on this dwarf planet, a region in the Kuiper belt that is far beyond Neptune, the last planet in our solar system. This region is filled with icy bodies. It is believed that these bodies are remnants of our early solar system. Pluto is also a part of this region and is one of these icy bodies. This is an extremely cold and frozen world. Its surface is mainly made of nitrogen ice with traces of methane, carbon monoxide, and water ice mixed in. The surface temperature of Pluto is among the lowest in the solar system, with an average temperature of minus 225 degrees Celsius. Such extreme temperatures mean that if there is any water on Pluto, it would be completely frozen solid. The kind of life we know cannot survive in such harsh conditions. However, recent discoveries suggest that Pluto may not be as harsh for life as it appears. Scientists have seen some rays of hope here. The most remarkable discovery made by NASA's New Horizons mission is the possible presence of subsurface oceans beneath Pluto's surface. The discovery of this hidden ocean came to light by observing a surface feature on Pluto. Sputnik Planitia is a large, heart-shaped region on Pluto. It is believed that this area is made up of nitrogen and methane ice. This region is completely smooth, and except for one or two craters, no pits are visible here. This plain region is believed to have been geologically active in its recent past. Scientists are confident that with the help of subsurface oceans on Pluto, they can explain all the features they are seeing on Pluto. For example, the lines and cracks seen on Pluto's surface have formed due to the expansion happening in the oceans beneath its surface. When water freezes, it expands due to changes in its internal structure, and we can see this same effect on Pluto's surface as well. New Horizons also detected ammonia on Pluto's surface, which further strengthens our belief in the existence of oceans of water beneath Pluto's surface, because ammonia acts like an anti-freezing agent. This lowers the freezing point of water significantly, so it doesn't freeze even when the temperature goes below zero. If subsurface oceans exist on Pluto, they could be an ideal place for life. Even on Earth, we see life thriving in extreme environments like around hydrothermal vents in the deep oceans. The organisms there survive on chemical energy without sunlight. Similar conditions could exist on Pluto, where life might be thriving beneath its icy surface, relying on chemical reactions and geothermal energy. As far as we have understood Pluto, there is no end to the possibilities here. Evidence of geological activity. Another astonishing discovery from the New Horizons mission was the evidence of ongoing geological activity on Pluto. Before the flyby, scientists thought that Pluto was a cold and dead world where there would be no geological activity. But what they saw was a landscape that was completely different from their expectations. On Pluto's surface, you can see many different types of terrains. There are some very large plain areas, some big peaks and mountains, and in some places there are deep valleys. But a very large heart-shaped region, Sputnik Planitia, was found to be the most unusual. This area is a huge icy plain, which is mostly made of nitrogen ice, and its surface appears to have formed recently. There are only a few impact craters visible here, which indicates that the surface of Sputnik Planitia is being renewed frequently. It is possible that this is happening due to convection currents in the subsurface ocean beneath the icy surface. Several other pieces of evidence related to geological activities on Pluto have also been found in Pluto's mountains, which are primarily made of water ice. These mountains are up to 350 meters high. The fact that these mountains are so tall and large means that Pluto's crust is made of strong and stable water ice, which is capable of supporting such massive structures. Mountains made of water ice and flat regions of nitrogen ice on Pluto indicate a complex and active geology. But one question that was troubling scientists was, what exactly was driving these activities on Pluto? The thermal energy generated by radioactive decay in Pluto's core was considered as one possible explanation. When a radioactive element breaks down, it releases heat. This heat is so intense that it can drive subsurface oceans and geological activities on Pluto's surface. Another strange possibility is cryovolcanism, or in other words, ice volcanoes. Unlike traditional volcanoes, Pluto's volcanoes don't erupt molten rock or lava. Instead, they erupt substances like water, ammonia, and methane. New Horizons observed very large dome-like structures on Pluto's surface, which could possibly be cryovolcanoes, and if that's the case, it would be a major piece of evidence for the existence of a subsurface ocean on Pluto. This indicates that liquid water and some chemicals from beneath the surface are reaching Pluto's surface. Because of this, a new surface is being formed, and it also confirms the presence of liquid water beneath the surface. The discovery of active geology on Pluto further increases the possibility of life on this planet. Geological activities on Earth also play a major role in supporting life. If similar activities are happening on Pluto as well, then the possibility of life beneath Pluto definitely increases. The discovery of subsurface ocean and geological activities on Pluto also raises many questions. To answer whether life can exist in these extreme environments, we need to understand such extreme environments. What are the conditions for life on Earth? Our planet Earth is a place where life can be found even in very extreme and inhospitable places. For example, deep-sea hydrothermal vents are the foundation of an entire ecosystem where organisms rely not on sunlight but on the Earth's core. They support themselves with the energy that is released. These organisms produce energy from chemical energy, which is called chemosynthesis. Here, bacteria convert chemicals and compounds like hydrogen sulfide into energy, which also serves as a source of food for these organisms. Similarly, life has also been discovered beneath the icy peaks of Antarctica. Traces of life have also been found in acidic hot springs and even in rocks found deep underground. These extremophiles are organisms that are able to survive even in extreme conditions. This shows that life adapts itself to almost every kind of environment, and in this way, it is found almost everywhere on Earth. If life can be found in such extreme environments on Earth, then it's not hard to believe that, similarly, traces of life could also exist on Pluto. If there really is a subsurface ocean on Pluto, then it could be an excellent source for life to develop there. Although this ocean would be extremely cold and filled with darkness, life would still find a way to adapt to such an environment. Just like Earth's extremophiles, they would also rely on chemical reactions for energy. Besides this, the ammonia and complex molecules found on Pluto indicate that the building blocks of life are also present on Pluto. On Earth, ammonia plays an important role in the formation of amino acids, which make proteins and are the foundation of life. If similar chemical processes are happening on Pluto, then life like that on Earth could also be seen on Pluto. But the thing to note is that while the conditions on Pluto are certainly suitable to support life, we have not yet found any signs of life on Pluto. The evidence of subsurface oceans and geological activities is certainly surprising, but it is not proof of life on Pluto. We will have to explore more to find life on Pluto. The discoveries we made about Pluto from the New Horizons mission were truly astonishing. This mission has further enhanced our understanding of Pluto. And there are also some new questions that often arise in our minds about the possibility of life on this distant world. To find answers to these questions, we will have to send missions to Pluto in the future. There is currently an existing proposal to study Pluto, which involves sending an orbiter and a lander to Pluto. With the orbiter, Pluto can be studied in even more detail. Its atmosphere can be analyzed, surface mapping can be done, and its geological activity can be studied. On the other hand, the lander will provide us with direct measurements of Pluto's surface and subsurface. It will help us find signs of subsurface oceans on Pluto and indications of the possibility of life there. Another potential potential mission could involve sending a probe into Pluto's atmosphere to study it further. In this mission, advanced instruments will be used to determine the composition of Pluto's atmosphere and surface. After that, the focus will be on searching for organic molecules and such compounds that either support life or indicate the possibility of life. Apart from sending missions directly to Pluto, in the future, by exploring the Kuiper Belt, we can search for signs of life on the outer edges of the solar system. To unravel these mysteries of the universe, NASA has launched this mission called TESS, which stands for Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite. This is a special mission designed to search for exoplanets in the Milky Way and some nearby galaxies that could potentially support life. I'm sure you're familiar with the concept of super Earth. Well, these are exoplanets that are quite similar to Earth in terms of size and composition. The surface conditions there also closely resemble those on Earth. This is a mission under which a very powerful telescope observatory has been set up in space, which specifically searches for these Earth-like habitable planets. Today, it's been almost 5 years since this mission started, and during this time, it has achieved many accomplishments. The beginning of this mission takes us back in time. About 18 years ago, in 2005, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and the Smithsonian Astrophysical Observatory started working together on a plan. If there's one thing most important in astronomy and space exploration, it's the rays of light emitted by millions of stars like the Sun and by galaxies. These light rays travel extremely far in space, and by detecting these freely moving light rays, we visualize different planets and stars. But unlike stars, when it comes to these planets, the scenario changes quite a lot. Because here, planets don't emit light of their own, so they prove their existence by reflecting the light coming from their stars. So the question here is, in such a situation, how is it even possible to see them? Well, again, here is a catch. In the field of astronomy, light is studied very critically. Light is not just rays of light, but rather, it's a package of information which can be decoded to extract a lot of vital information, like where it came from, how far it is from us, how big it is, what its structure is like. Many such pieces of information can be obtained from here. If we talk about the role of light rays in the search for these exoplanets, when scientists capture light coming from any celestial source, they perform an expository analysis of it. Under this, the shadow properties of that light ray are revealed, which helps us detect the mirror objects that pass in front of or fly past the source emitting that light ray. The variations in the intensity of the light ray tell us about the nature of the object passing by. It possesses its physical properties, and this is actually called photoastronomy fundamentally. Today, scientists search for exoplanets using this very method. I am sure you have understood how an exoplanet is discovered, haven't you? In fact, our TESS mission also uses this method for its planetary discoveries. TESS is equipped with extremely precise and powerful sensors that are capable of critically analyzing light rays and the shadows blending within them. In the past, this very exploration mission began. The All-Sky Transiting Exoplanet Survey was a strong attempt to search for such exoplanets present in the sky. No other space telescope had done this before. The Spitzer Space Telescope, which made headlines in the 2010s for its efficiency, also failed to achieve this feat. Obviously, this is a next-generation telescope, so its capabilities are bound to be greater than its predecessor. Let's talk about TOI 700E, which was recently discovered by TESS. In the stellar map, you can see it right in the middle of the Dorado constellation. This planet is in the Goldilocks zone of its star, or you could say, in the habitable zone. That means it is neither too close to its star, nor too far away. As a result, the temperature on this planet would be balanced, similar to Earth. Because of a balanced and tolerable temperature, the possibility of water existing here in liquid form increases significantly. And you already know that wherever there is water, the possibility of life also exists. Anyway, if we set our imagination aside and come back to reality, our studies so far suggest that this planet is quite similar to Earth. And not just TOI 700E, but the other planets in this solar system also seem to be perfect for sprouting the seed of life. NASA's Postdoctoral scholar Emily Gilbert, who works at the Propulsion Laboratory, studied this system. But this task is not that easy, it's just easy to imagine. In today's video, we will talk about such problems that arise while establishing settlements on Mars. Only after solving these problems can settlements be established on Mars. The most important thing for establishing human settlements anywhere is the availability of water. But we know that there is no water on Mars, but is it really correct to say that there is no water on Mars? During the 1970s, some missions to Mars were carried out. Mariner 9 and Viking spacecraft sent pictures of Mars to Earth for the first time, and according to those pictures, there should be evidence of water there. In 2018, a researcher from Italy's National Institute for Astrophysics published his research, in which he claimed that there could be a very large lake about a mile beneath the surface near the south pole of Mars. This research stated that there is a hidden lake about 12 miles wide beneath the south pole of Mars. Similarly, in 2018, scientists from the American Geological Survey identified 8 such regions on Mars, where, due to erosion, large ice blocks have been found at depths ranging from about 1 meter to 100 meters below the surface, which means that water could exist on Mars. Similarly, a year later, in 2019, a report by the American Geophysical Union claimed that NASA scientists, using the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, by studying the data, found that there are several buried layers of ice and sand about a mile beneath the surface at the North Pole of Mars. After learning all this, you might be thinking that we've found water to live on Mars, but that's not the case. The water present here cannot be used easily. Because this water is trapped inside the soil of Mars, and extracting this water from the Martian soil and making it drinkable again is a difficult task. We don't have any technology for this yet, but NASA is aware of this. During this, some students presented some models for drilling to reach water on Mars. About 10 students' models were selected from this competition, who had to extract water from simulated Martian subsurface ice with their designs at the Legacy Research Center in Virginia. A team from West Virginia University won this competition held in 2019. This team named their model Mountaineer Ice Drilling Automated System 3. And in collaboration with Honeybee Robotics, presented to the world a prototype of a spacecraft the size of a microwave oven. NASA named this spacecraft The World Is Not Enough, or WINE. NASA says that this spacecraft can mine the soil of asteroids. It can extract water present in the soil and, after choosing the next target, can head towards it for mining. In this way, it can be said that technology for water mining is being made smarter in the direction of establishing human settlements on Mars. The most important thing for establishing human settlements on any other planet is to have an atmosphere necessary for survival there. But if we talk about Mars, its atmosphere is not suitable for human habitation in any way. Our new world does have its own atmosphere, but it is very thin, and this atmosphere does not contain any of the gases necessary for human life. According to NASA, the atmosphere on Mars contains the highest amount of carbon dioxide. Here, compared to Earth, there is 95.3% more carbon dioxide present. Similarly, on Earth, oxygen is 21%, while on Mars, there is only 0.13% oxygen. Because of this, it is completely impossible to breathe here. On Earth, 78% of the atmosphere is nitrogen gas, while on Mars, nitrogen is only 2.7%. Without nitrogen, plants and trees cannot survive on Mars, and without plants and trees, it is impossible to provide food for humans living here. If we talk about atmospheric pressure, on Earth it is 1013.25 millibars. Here, it will forcefully expand outwards very quickly, which will damage their internal body organs, their eardrums will burst, and the water present in their body will start boiling rapidly. There is such a thing as space too. According to a research published in Astronomy, there aren't enough elements present on Mars to create an environment that can sustain human life there. That's why it is said that to live on Mars, we will have to take essential things from Earth, and if we run out of them, we will have to come back to Earth to get them again, which will be very costly. The biggest problem in settling on Mars is the extremely high amount of harmful radiation present there. We know that energy is produced on the sun due to nuclear fusion reactions, and because of this reaction, stars emit X-rays and ultraviolet rays. Apart from this, it also emits a large amount of electromagnetic radiation, which is very dangerous. But the Earth has powerful magnetic fields, which protect us from the dangerous electromagnetic radiation coming from the sun. Similarly, because of Earth's thick atmosphere, dangerous rays like ultraviolet rays cannot reach the surface of the Earth. Our sun is not the only one that emits such dangerous radiation. Apart from this, there are many other celestial bodies that emit such dangerous radiation, like quasars and the center of the galaxy, which keep emitting this kind of dangerous radiation. This radiation is so dangerous that if a human comes into direct contact with it, but the biggest concern for scientists is how we can protect ourselves from all these dangerous radiations while living on Mars. The European Space Agency claimed in one of its reports that during a mission on Mars, people on the mission might have to face about 700 times more radiation compared to Earth. The European Space Agency is working on technology that could, in the future, protect astronauts during Mars missions from the dangerous radiation on Mars. The agency is currently creating cosmic radiation in the lab and is engaged in developing materials that can protect against that radiation. At this time, they are made of lacquer. Behind this, scientists believe that one day humans will use Martian soil. They can make concrete or some kind of glue that can help build structures for us to live there. In this way, we see that during future Mars missions, astronauts will have to face many problems while settling on Mars. How will we take astronauts to Mars, which is so far away? How will we arrange drinking water there? And moreover, how can we protect ourselves from the extreme cold on Mars? The bright red color of this red planet used to scare us, but its mysterious appearance inspired us to uncover the secrets buried within it. That's why the bright red color of this red planet definitely it's was red. The red color of this sphere frightened us, but its mysterious appearance inspired us to uncover its secrets. But in the polar regions, this temperature drops to minus 140 degrees Celsius. There are also ice caps of frozen water and gases present at its poles. If we talk about its atmosphere, Mars is a planet with a thin atmosphere. Its atmosphere is less than 1% as dense as Earth's, and that's why you don't feel any air pressure on its surface. The composition of Mars's atmosphere is mostly 95.3% carbon dioxide, 2.6% nitrogen, and the remaining 0.1% consists of gases like oxygen and argon. As far as the presence of water on Mars is concerned, scientists are still uncertain about it to this day. Of course, we have not yet been able to find liquid water on the surface of this planet, but that does not mean that there is no water on Mars at all. For several decades, our research on Mars has proven that Mars could actually be a potential candidate to host life. At one time, all those conditions must have existed here that provided a favorable environment for life to thrive and flourish. Whether it was the flowing water on its surface or the oxygen in its atmosphere, the form of life that we see on Earth today might have existed on Mars at one time as well. All those conditions, all those factors that provide a favorable environment to support life, perhaps existed on Mars in the past. The life that perished here, we might be able to revive it once again. In this process, all the major changes on Mars, from increasing the temperature to rebuilding the atmosphere, would be artificial, that is, man-made. And maybe that person already exists. Yes, we are talking about SpaceX founder Elon Musk, who has made a plan to transfer humans from Earth to Mars. Of course, Musk is not alone in this race. Many other players are also working day and night to reach this milestone, but Musk and his SpaceX are far ahead of all of them in this race. SpaceX practically has plans to go to Mars, and they have the resources needed to send humans to Mars. SpaceX also has a complete plan to settle people there. Before we come to SpaceX's plans for Martian colonization and terraforming, let's take a look at some important details of this trip. The shortest distance between Earth and Mars is 33.9 million miles. Both Earth and Mars revolve around the Sun in an elliptical orbit. Because of this, the distance between them keeps decreasing and increasing. Every 2.5 years, these two planets reach their closest point to each other. At such a time, it's a golden opportunity to send any spacecraft to Mars. This launch window of 3 to 8 days gives us easy access to Mars. Spacecraft launched during this period reach Mars's orbit using the least amount of time and fuel. This journey takes about 8 months. During this time, after leaving Earth's orbit, the spacecraft will have to travel in deep space for the next 250 days. Then one day, the view of the red planet will come into view through the rocket's window, and in the next 1.5 hours, this mission will go through its toughest phase. This is the landing sequence. SpaceX's Starship will make a vertical landing in this manner, and from here, the battle for survival begins. Actually, this fleet of starships will carry a team of the first Martian settlers. These will be the first humans who will dedicate their lives to making Mars habitable for humans. It's possible that their journey to Mars will be one way. That means they may never be able to return to Earth, or they might get a chance to come back after many years, whatever their fate may be. But here, they will be fully prepared to face the upcoming challenges. In this process, they will first have to set up a base unit. This is the first step of Martian colonization. As part of this, shelters will be built here where these Martian settlers will be able to live. And right here, there will also be a lab for all kinds of scientific experiments and research. As part of this, such shelters will be built where these Martian settlers will stay, and right here, all scientific experiments and there will also be a lab for it. As part of this, such shelters will be built where these Martian settlers a lab will also be there. As part of this, a lab is also available here for such shelters. As part of this, a lab is also available for such shelters. As part of this, a lab is also available here for such shelters. Under this, labs are also available here for such purposes. Under this, such things are also here. Lab for this. Under this. There will also be a lab for such shelters. Under this here. Such shelters will be available under this. For such shelters, also will be under this. There is also a lab here for such shelters. it was seen on Mars. What exactly is this cylindrical object? The truth behind it? Evidence of life found on Mars, but NASA completely denied it. Why did they fail as soon as they went behind Mars? More than 15 missions and ancient civilizations. Why did they consider Mars to have such a special place among the gods? What did they know? Mars has always been a fascination for us. That glowing red sphere. From the beginning, we have believed that there is a strong connection between Mars and Earth. Do gods live there? And is there any intelligent life on Mars? Ancient people always wondered about this. Its red color did scare them, but they considered Mars a god. The god of war, Augustus, a Roman emperor, built many temples in honor of his god Mars. Whenever there was a war, their strategies would be made accordingly. The doors of the Temple of Mars would be opened so that the connection with Mars would remain. There is a lot of evidence in history where Mars was seen on a completely different level and was studied more than any other planet. Ancient Egyptian astronomers created a star map in 1534 BC, and Mars was also given a place on that chart. About 250 years later, the Egyptians depicted Mars in this way on the ceiling of Seti I's tomb. There were some civilizations that feared Mars, such as the Mayan civilization, which feared its wrath. Mars is also present in their calendars and books. After all these things were pointing towards a big link between us and Mars. Why are all these civilizations, despite being isolated from each other, giving us the same clue? Why are we humans the only ones ruling the Earth? No other species living on this Earth has evolved as rapidly as we humans have. Why is evolution behaving so slowly for all other species? Did angels really come to Earth and give us so much knowledge? The events of angels coming from heaven outside the earth are written about in all the religions of the world. And today, you know that if we have to point towards heaven, we point towards space, towards those stars. If we just replace the word heaven with space, then this picture starts to become clear. Did someone who traveled through space really create us? Or did they leave us with some kind of knowledge? The ones we call God today, how likely is it that they were Martians who traveled through space in 1849 during the Mesopotamia expedition? Some texts related to the Sumerian civilization came to light. When they were decoded, they turned out to be about the oldest god of this world's ancient Sumerian civilization, Anunnaki. They were angels who came from another world. They used their genes to create a hybrid human called Adamu. They created the first human on Earth and formed an entire army of human slaves to extract gold from inside the Earth, who were quite intelligent. The Anunnaki had many buildings constructed during their time, and before leaving, they passed on knowledge of agriculture, architecture, mathematics, music, and writing to us humans. These texts tells us a lot about ancient civilizations and also explains what their alien connection is. Were the Anunnaki Martians who came to Earth in search of gold to save their planet? And is there still any intelligent life on Mars today? There are some incidents that draw our attention to the possibility of intelligent life forms existing on Mars. For example, the Soviet Union's Phobos 2 mission. This mission saw something on Mars that no one on Earth had an explanation for. In July 1988, the Soviet Union launched two twin missions to explore Mars. Phobos 1 and Phobos 2 were on their way to explore Mars. Phobos 1 disappeared on the way. Disappeared. That's because after the connection was lost, no one knew where the spacecraft went or what happened to it. The explanation given was that due to human error, Phobos 1 met with an accident on the way. Somehow, Phobos 2 manages to reach the red planet, but as soon as it arrives on Mars, problems start occurring in Phobos 2 as well. The three processors installed on the onboard flight control system suddenly start behaving strangely. One of them fails completely, and the other two were also having problems. On March 27, 1989, Phobos 2 was supposed to take photos of Mars's moon, Phobos. This spacecraft was about to go behind Mars, and its connection with Earth's ground control was going to be lost for some time. In this process, the spacecraft stays out of communication for at most 1 to 1.5 hours, but 4 hours passed and there was no sign of the spacecraft. Suddenly, a signal comes in, but it was a signal that couldn't be decoded. In its last moments, Phobos 2 sent a photo in which a very large dark shadow could be seen on the surface of Mars. This photo was the last one sent by the spacecraft. This photo was taken at the time when something had come and collided with Phobos 2, and suddenly the spacecraft started spinning. Now the question was, what exactly was that dark shadow? That shadow, it was neither of Mars's moons, Phobos or Deimos. It looked like a thin, ellipse-shaped UFO shaped like a cigar. At that time, the chairman of the Soviet Union carefully gave a statement about that photo, saying that there was a very strange shape in one of the images. The object was captured between the spacecraft and Mars, which was a very precise statement to keep the focus on the spacecraft and Mars. But at a UFO conference in 1991, a former serviceman of the Soviet Union said that you can consider it the leaked photo of the first alien mothership found in our solar system. After the last transmission, the probe mysteriously disappears and there is never any communication with it again. Did some energy beam collide with Phobos 2, and was it a cigar-shaped object? The first interstellar object we recently found was something like Oumuamua. Is someone really traveling between stars out there? Do aliens really live on Mars? This is a really big question. Is there some underground civilization beneath Mars? Maybe the inhabitants of Mars are living underground to protect themselves from the dangerous radiation of the sun. To save their civilization, they might have gone underground millions of years ago, and after that, a solar storm caused devastation on Mars. A Martian civilization might be living right next to us, but we are unable to see it. Otherwise, what is that energy that is stopping us from exploring Mars? This spacecraft wasn't the only one that disappeared behind Mars. NASA's Mars orbiter also mysteriously disappeared just before entering Mars's orbit. Spacecraft lost in space are gone forever. It's not like we can recover them and find out what happened to them. There's no black box in this. There's no looking for signs of a struggle, and no physical investigation either. What we have in front of us is its path, flight data, and the signals being sent by the spacecraft. Once it's lost, everything is over. We can only guess what might have happened to it. A number of possible events are presented for that one incident, but the truth is, what actually happened to that spacecraft? The data that it must have recorded but was never able to send. Japan's Mars mission Nozomi spacecraft broke down on the way. Russia's Mars 96 crashed in Earth's atmosphere. NASA's Mars polar lander went silent 49 seconds before reaching Mars. There was no further communication with it, and it burned up in the Martian atmosphere. Oops, poor spacecraft. It was said that English units were used to program the spacecraft, while NASA had instructed to program it in metric units. The spacecraft was built by a company named Lockheed Martin. To catch errors like these, the spacecraft is cross-checked 2 or 3 times. It's surprising that even with such a mistake, the spacecraft reached Mars perfectly, but it had to malfunction only after getting there. Similarly, another Mars lander, Beagle 2, also got lost after reaching Mars. Because of such reasons, these failures were called the Mars Curse. In 1901, Nikola Tesla claimed that he had received radio communication signals from the planet Mars, and his claim was also widely published by the press. So was Tesla right? Did he really try to communicate with extraterrestrial alien life? But none of the scientists living on this Earth paid any attention to what he said. Who knows, maybe the Martians tried to communicate when they got the chance, just like we are doing today. The famous Drake equation asks what the chances are that there are millions or billions like them in our galaxy. It's possible that because of their progressive values, technology, and science, they either advanced far ahead or destroyed themselves by fighting among themselves. That's about civilizations far away, but some theorists also believe that there used to be an intelligent civilization on Mars, but being too advanced became a burden for them. They discuss a tragic event on Mars. Ended in In September 1975, during NASA's Mars Viking mission, one of the biggest mysteries comes to light. To search for life, the Viking landers conducted some tests on the surface of Mars, but their results were quite controversial. It was believed that it was being monitored. After 7 days, bubbles were seen in the sample tubes. For life on Mars, NASA needed 30 million bacteria in the sample soil, but in the second test, only 30 tests were positive. But NASA's higher authorities refused to accept these results. However, NASA's own scientists considered these results to be 100% accurate. There were two opinions about these results within NASA itself. All those results were positive, and for the first time, life had been discovered on Mars, and those tests were never conducted on Mars again. But despite so many failures on Mars, billions of dollars are still being spent. What exactly is there? What is it that NASA and other space agencies are hiding from us? Evidence of water, methane, and organic matter on Mars has already come to light. But whether an alien race is developing, there still remains a question for the general public. It is said that NASA keeps conducting several missions related to aliens. The information about these is always kept secret, so the aliens on Mars have also been kept secret from us. On this topic, we have far more questions than answers in front of us. All the incidents that happened on Mars highlight the possibility of aliens. That last image from Phobos, those life-giving objects are spread everywhere. A great example of this can be seen during the rainy season. You must have noticed that as soon as it rains, new kinds of creatures start to appear everywhere. Whether it's frogs jumping around in the rainwater or countless insects settling in the open air. Truly, this universe was born with limitless potential for life to flourish, and we are witnessing the results of that today. The very planet we live on, Earth, is also a result of this process. In such a situation, the question arises, if life truly exists in the particles of this universe, then why hasn't our search reached its conclusion yet? Meanwhile, we will find out what exactly happened in the past that suddenly wiped out life from this lush green planet. And what really happened to those creatures, the ones who used to live on Mars. Did they also perish in the catastrophe that struck Mars? Or is the life we see on Earth today actually a legacy of those Martians? To find answers to all these questions and to learn about the changing seasons on Mars, be sure to watch this documentary till the end. Before we talk about Mars and what exists there, it is made with energy. Here, life is constantly being created and destroyed every moment. Meanwhile, under certain special circumstances, this life also travels from one place to another. We will discuss further about the possibility of life being transferred from Mars to Earth. Therefore, for now, the important issue for us is about the formation of Mars and the origin of life there. To understand this entire sequence of events, we will have to go back in time and look at the birth of the solar system. Actually, this goes back to about 4.5 billion years ago, when the Orion Nebula at the center of the Milky Way galaxy gave birth to a star. This star was quite large and very hot. Because it was in its early stage, it went through many internal and external changes, and due to those changes, our planets were formed. Now, obviously, since our planets were formed from this blazing ball of fire, they must have been very hot too. In such a situation, they also kept smoldering for many hundreds of thousands of years due to the gases and heat coming from the sun. But as time passed, the fire inside them was extinguished. The hydrogen and helium present in them, being lighter, rose up, and gases like nitrogen and oxygen settled on the surface. However, this development of the solar system happened in two different stages. One of these stages was the formation of rocky planets made of solid rocks, while the planets that had moved far away from the sun were made entirely of gases. Among this family of 8 planets, there was Mars, where according to this theory, life first originated. Yes, life developed on Mars even before Earth. Mars was the planet that had cooled down after losing the heat it had received from the sun. There, the temperature was just right for the origin of life. In such conditions, the factors that support life first came into existence here. Today, we are searching the entire planet Mars for those very factors. Yes, we are talking about Martian water, which 200 million years ago existed on the surface of Mars in the form of lakes, oceans, and rivers. It was in these oceans filled with liquid water that life first began to breathe. In fact, this life existed in the form of microorganisms, or you could say microorganisms. Theories suggest that the origin of life on any planet first occurs in the form of these bacteria, and now this bacterial life grows through different biological variations. Then it takes the form of an advanced civilization, just like us humans. Scientists believe that life on Mars must have also developed in such a phased manner. There too, these organisms must have first come out of water and reached the dry lands. And then, with the passage of time, they must have evolved into highly intelligent and sensible beings similar to humans. This system of Mars makes it just like the present-day Earth. Now, life reaches the stage where it can flourish and develop there, after which the journey of life on Mars begins. On Mars, too, life begins to thrive just as it did on Earth. You might be imagining something like that, but here we rein in that imagination and bring it back to reality. Actually, Mars's story of life was never that thrilling, nor did it ever go through so many stages. The end of this story happened much before we could even imagine. Actually, when this microbial form of life was developing in the reservoirs of Mars, that's the real incident. The asteroid that collided with Mars, which completely destroyed the life that was developing on Mars. According to this hypothesis, an asteroid coming at a high speed suddenly enters the atmosphere of Mars, and in just a moment, it crashes into its surface and creates a scene of destruction that is hard to even imagine. This impact was so intense that it created a huge crater in an area as large as the United States. A lot of material present on the surface of Mars, including fine dust, pebbles, and even massive rocks, shattered and broke apart. A cloud of dust rose into the sky, casting its shadow and covering all of Mars. In the absence of sunlight, complete darkness spread over the entire planet Mars. The life-supporting factors that had developed over thousands of years of living processes now slowly began to die. And now this story fast forwards to our present day. Today, Mars is a lifeless and barren planet. There is no air to breathe, no water to quench thirst, and imagining life here is almost impossible. On one hand, Mars has witnessed this state of devastation. Until then, Earth was just a hot burning sphere, and a massive asteroid had collided with the Earth, still scorching amid the flames. Life began because of this collision. In fact, it was a truly miraculous coincidence. Because of this, certain conditions started to form on Earth in the future. These conditions were about to transform this burning, smoldering planet into a lush green world full of life. Such a light is enough to pierce the darkness. With just such a light, Mars also began its own transformation. After the devastating collision with the asteroid, something happened here once again that forced Mars to breathe again, and this time, life began. The collisions in the past with the volcanoes present on Mars had wiped out all the water on the surface of Mars, but even now, beneath the surface of Mars, there is groundwater. That means there were still many sources of groundwater left, and this same groundwater, after coming into contact with volcanoes sometime later, turned into steam and escaped into Mars's atmosphere. In this way, once again, there was a revival in the atmosphere of Mars. Once again, clouds began to form here and water rained down from the sky to the ground. After that, once again, those microbes began to grow. But unfortunately, life couldn't survive here for long. Because it was very far from the sun, it became extremely cold here, and there wasn't much heat left in Mars's core anymore, which could help it keep itself warm. In such a situation, this second phase of life also ended soon there. But on the other hand, everything was changing on Earth. Here, things that had never happened before were happening, clouds were forming, rain was falling, living beings had started to be born, and plants had also begun to spread their roots. Now from here, Earth only needed another 7 million years to give birth to the most intelligent and wise beings of this creation, who, in the future, with their intelligence and understanding, would have the ability to look back into this past. Yes, those beings are none other than us humans, who, in the second part of this video, will also shed light on the astonishing theory of life being transferred from Mars to Earth. If you are new to Documentary Library, then subscribe and enable the bell notification so that you can receive videos on astronomy and space science. Friends, we'll meet again with another informative video. Until then, stay curious, be happy, and goodbye.